The US government has officially shut down, and at this point in time, we don't actually know when they'll return. Here's what's happening over in DC.
We're not going to support a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people.
The shutdown came into effect about 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time after congressional Democrats and Republicans failed to agree on a bill extending funding for federal departments. The Democrats are essentially fighting for the extension of tax credits to subsidize health insurance, an incentive which is set to expire by the end of the year. The Republicans, on the other hand, also introduced their own bill to grant temporary funding, which, if it was agreed upon, would have prevented the shutdown. To do that, they'll need a 60-vote majority, meaning that the Republicans would require bipartisan support across the table from the Democrats, who weren't budging, refusing to pass any short-term funding without an overhaul of healthcare. And despite holding power in the Senate and the House of Representatives, the GOP's bill was voted down, and now both parties remain in a deadlock over these health concessions.
All it takes is a handful of Democrats to join the Republicans in keeping the government open and funded.
So what does a shutdown actually entail? Federal agencies across the country will be shuttered, with non-essential workers like park rangers put on leave without pay. Essential federal workers like airport security, immigration, and the military will continue to work through the shutdown, but they won't get paid until after. When that is, remains to be seen. Now, there have been 21 US government shutdowns in the last 50 years alone. The last one occurred back in President Trump's first term, lasting a historic 34 days over his multi-billion-dollar request to build a wall on the US-Mexico border. About 800,000 federal workers were furloughed during this time. What this means for Aussies, we shouldn't be too affected, with essential immigration and airport security officers still active, meaning that if you're traveling to the US, you should be fine. Now, previous shutdowns have lasted an average of 8 days, but this one might be a little bit different. President Trump has previously signaled at using shutdowns to slash the federal workforce, drafting plans for sweeping layoffs if the Senate fails to advance a bill. And as tensions rise between the two major parties...
It reminds me of my 4-year-old granddaughter when she gets mad.
So we want to sit down and negotiate, but the Republicans can't do it in their partisan way.
Republicans haven't just stuck their heads in the sand. They've outright refused to get serious about a solution.
There's no real knowing how long this deadlock will hold out for.
Since y'all sitting on the toilet, y'all might as well listen to the news from yesterday, so let's recap. My Vice President Kamala Harris made it very clear that the Republicans are responsible for the shutdown. They have the House, they have the Senate, they have the Supreme Court, and they got the White House, baby. Democrats don't have shit. They trying to save Medicaid and healthcare and Obamacare all at the same goddamn time. And no, illegal immigrants cannot get healthcare in America. Venezuela's president changes the goddamn day of Christmas. They celebrated it yesterday. Candace, please stop talking. Please. I mean, I don't even like you like that, but stop talking. My man Barack is DJing? Okay, live your best life. I'm not mad at you. While we're in the midst of a government shutdown, let me remind you of this. Tupac Fiasco said a president that has a government shutdown is weak. Wigs R Us also signed an executive order protecting Qatar in the case of an Izzy attack. Which side are we on now? You naughty little boy. It's always one of y'all, ain't it? My president is right. Old people need to step the fuck down and let the young ones lead. Governor J.B. Pritzker said it's time to invoke the 25th Amendment. We agree, but it's not going to happen. It won't. Democrats, it's time for y'all to start investing in more content creators because we are losing the fight on YouTube. Elania's a billionaire, a 500 billionaire. Nobody should have that much fucking money. Izzy's got the flotilla, y'all. Greta's been taken along with a bunch of other folk. But they are saying at least 20 ships made it through. I don't know how true that is, but we will wait and see. Walmart's canceling its food diet. I wonder what the food will look like. Frumpy holds money from New York City, $18 billion worth. Another one, thank you. Y'all collecting these hoes like Pokemon cards. Frumpy also removes money from Chicago, specifically the children, black children. A little 12-year-old black boy gets arrested for driving his bike recklessly. Y'all couldn't just gave him a warning? We're getting $1 trillion to the military. $197 billion goes to the Army. Defense agencies, $210 billion. Navy, $292 billion. Air Force, $301 billion. But we ain't got shit for Medicaid. We don't have nothing for VA. Nothing for SNAP, nothing for housing, nothing for WIC, nothing for the middle class or the lower class. Hell, y'all don't even have shit for farmers. Simon revokes Portia's way of getting into Nigeria. Nigeria said, I'm American, I can go anywhere, but how about you? Nikki and Cardi finally stopped arguing, and Saucy and JT picked it right on up. It's getting a bit crazy out here, y'all. And it looks like the National Guard is arresting people in Portland. Yes, the National Guard is arresting people in Portland. Last but not least, Frumpy is sending ICE to the Super Bowl. Apparently, Bad Bunny's not American enough for them. I hope he does every fucking song in Spanish. And the NFL, y'all better not back the hell out. All right, people, see you in a bit. Bye.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you want the real stories behind the headline, no fluff, no drama, you are in the right place. Today, I'm giving you a heads up on something major happening across the United States of America right now. The federal government has officially shut down, talking about over 800,000 federal workers that are suddenly out of work or without pay currently, and the effects are rippling through the economy, the airports, the national parks, and more. Now, what caused it? That's the question. And who is being hit hardest? And how will it affect you? But I'll be breaking it down fast, clear, and real. So all you need to do is to hit the subscribe button, and let's get into it. Don't forget, credit belongs to the rightful owners of the clips I'll be attaching to this video. Stay tuned. Don't change the dial.
This is the type of thing you've said about shutdowns in the past. Let's listen.
What if I persuaded my caucus to say I'm going to shut the government down, I'm going to not pay our bills unless I get my way? It's a politics of idiocy, of confrontation, of paralysis. Shutting down government over a policy difference is self-defeating. We can never hold American workers hostage again. While the CR bill is very bad, the potential for a shutdown has consequences for America that are much, much worse. Therefore, I will vote to keep the government open and not shut it down.
That was you 3 times in the past. Go ahead. What's different this time?
Yeah, that was in March, John, before they had done these horrible things to health care, before they had introduced these rescissions which would allow them to ignore the budget process. When I was majority leader, we had 13 times to vote on a budget. Do you know why there was no shutdown? We sat and negotiated with the Republicans every time. They got some things, we got some things. They did not negotiate at all. Now that they've seen they can't bludgeon us, they can't roll us, hopefully they're going to sit down and negotiate.
The U.S. government is now officially shut down, partially. Congressional leaders and President Donald Trump failed to reach a deal or pass a short-term funding bill that would have kept the government running. A shutdown could lead to the furlough and firing of a large number of federal workers. There are some deemed essential that will still work unpaid, such as active duty U.S. military service members, law enforcement agents, air traffic controllers, TSA officers, Border Patrol and immigration enforcement agents, and customs officers. Some economic analysts estimate a shutdown could cost the economy about $7 billion a week. Congressional reporter Tarian Small is on Capitol Hill. Tarian, what's the immediate impact of federal workers and service members?
Quite a few of those service members and employees will see an impact when it comes to their wallets. That's because during this shutdown, they won't be able to get paid. They're foregoing that paycheck. And for many of them, they're still forced to work. Others will be furloughed, like you mentioned. This is happening concurrently with guidance from the Office of Personnel Management saying that Trump's plan, President Trump's administration's plan to undergo what they're calling a reduction in force, so mass firing to these agencies, will move forward. How that works is a bit tricky during a government shutdown, but ultimately, if fired during this period, that's a 60-day clock or timer that starts before that firing goes forward and is made permanent. Those who are fired will still be paid, receive back pay. But again, it's the finality of this that could really impact quite a few employees working for the government.
What just happened? The United States federal government has officially shut down after lawmakers in Congress failed to agree on a budget and temporary funding called a continuous resolution before the deadline. This isn't the first time it's happened before now, but each time the effect can be widespread and painful. Now look at it. Who are the 800,000 workers affected? Out of these 800,000 federal employees, around half are furloughed. That means they are not allowed to work and won't be paid during the shutdown. The other half are deemed essential personnel. They must work. That is to say, TSA, agents, air traffic controllers, even border controllers. Or you talk about, we call them border patrol. But they won't get paid until the solution comes. Talking about until the shutdown ends. That is a massive economic and emotional blow to families who rely on bi-weekly federal paychecks. Now let's look at it. What services are impacted? Or what services are closed or delayed? National parks resumes, passport offices, crime, regulatory agencies, ABA, SEC, etc. But when you look at it, everything isn't going well. The military operations, air travel, or TSA is short-staffed currently. If you look at the Medicare, Medicard, and the Social Security, continues, but backlogs possible. Now look at this. What's behind this shutdown? In most cases, shutdown comes due to political standoff, typically over spending levels, social policies, immigration, defense, etc. Partisans, relogs. For example, House, Senate, Republicans versus Democrats, but this time it appears to be a mix of bodies, with both sides blaming each other. Now the question is, why this matters to you? Even if you're not a federal employee, shutdown affects, and it affects everybody. It affects the economy, billions lost in GDP per week. That's to say, it affects everybody. Public trust in government, delays in tax processings, loans and permits, even financial markets can get very, very nervous. For many Americans, it's not just a DC drama, it's a loss of income, delayed services, and growing uncertainty. Now, my final thought on this is that this isn't just about politics. It's about real people losing paychecks, families facing uncertainty, and key services grinding to a halt. And this is not good. If this continues, the economic pain could deepen quickly. Please, if this is your first time to see my channel, don't fail to subscribe, like, and share. I'll be giving you updates on what is going on and how we got here and when it might end. Let's get in. Let's do it. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and share for more. Until my next one. Bye for now.